Today, I'll be reading some of the best two-sentence horror stories I could find. Let's dive in and see which ones send chills down your spine. I woke up to my mother's soothing voice calling me from the kitchen, but when I turned, she was beside me in bed, whispering, "Don't go out there." I heard it too. As we hid together, I glanced at her hand and froze. Her birthmark was missing. I found an old photo of myself as a child, but there was a figure standing behind me that I didn't recognize. When I looked closer, the figure's eyes were staring straight at me from the picture. Every night, I hear a soft tapping on my bedroom window, and when I open the curtain, no one's there. But tonight, as I reached for the curtain, a cold breath whispered in my ear, "I'm right behind you." I turned on the baby monitor to check on my infant, and I heard her crying, so I rushed to her room. But as I opened the door, I saw her peacefully sleeping in her crib, and the crying continued from the monitor. I woke up to find my phone on the nightstand, but I was sure I had left it charging in the living room. The message on the screen said, "I'm watching you," and the lights flickered in response. I've always slept with my dog beside me, but tonight I felt something crawl into bed and snuggle against me. When I whispered, "Is that you, buddy?" it whispered back, "I'm not your dog." The old man across the street died last week, and tonight I saw him standing by my window staring in. When I called the police, they told me the old man had been buried 3 days ago. I woke up to the sound of someone walking around the house. When I checked, everything was in place, but I could still hear the footsteps. The phone rang, and when I picked up, I heard a child's laughter, followed by a voice saying, "I see you're hiding." I sat in the living room, staring at a photo on the wall, only to watch the person in the photo blink. I received a text from my partner saying, "I'm not alone." The message came from her phone, but she was sitting next to me. I heard my daughter laughing in the other room, so I went to check on her, only to find her fast asleep in her bed. As I turned to leave, I heard a whisper from behind me, "Why did you leave me alone with them?" I thought I heard footsteps following me through the hallway, but when I turned, no one was there. The footsteps, my dog barked at the door as though someone was there, but when I opened it, no one was outside. The barking continued, but now from the closet. I heard knocking from inside the walls, and it grew louder the longer I listened. When I pressed my ear to the wall, I heard someone whisper, "Let me out." The voice on the phone said, "I see you," and I looked out the window to see a dark figure standing there. The phone rang again, and the voice said, "I'm closer now." I saw the reflection of a man standing in my kitchen, but when I turned around, there was no one there. The man smiled at me from the reflection again. I woke up to the sound of my front door creaking open, but when I went to check, everything was locked. I felt a hand on my shoulder. I received a message from my mom saying, "Come home, we miss you." When I replied, "I'm already here," I heard a whisper from behind me, "Who's texting you?" I noticed the photo on my desk had changed. The smiling family was replaced with a figure that looked just like me, standing alone in the corner. The eyes in the picture began to follow me. I woke up to the sound of my sister's laughter coming from the living room, but when I checked, she was asleep next to me. The laughter kept echoing from downstairs. I heard the familiar sound of my mum calling me for dinner, but when I entered the kitchen, it was completely dark, and the fridge door was wide open. Her voice called again from inside the fridge. I found a photograph of myself on the couch, looking at the camera with a terrified expression. I was in my bed, fast asleep. The phone rang with my grandmother's number, but when I answered, a cold whisper said, "I'm coming to visit." I looked over to see her rocking chair move by itself. I turned the corner and saw my daughter sitting on the floor, playing with her toys. When I approached, she turned to me and whispered, "Mom, who's that in the doorway?" I heard knocking on my bedroom door, but when I opened it, no one was there. The knocking continued, louder this time, from inside the closet. I woke up to the sound of someone breathing heavily beside me, but when I turned, I saw no one. The breathing grew louder and closer. I heard a soft voice singing a lullaby, but when I walked into the nursery, I found it empty. The lullaby continued, now coming from behind me. I woke up to the sound of a child crying, but when I checked the crib, my baby wasn't there. The crying came from the walls, growing louder. I was sitting in the living room when I heard my voice calling my name from the kitchen. When I checked, everything was normal, but the voice kept calling again. I found a note on my pillow saying, "I'm watching you sleep." I turned to look, and a pair of eyes were staring at me from the shadows in the corner. I stepped into the kitchen and saw the bread on the counter start to move. The loaf of bread turned toward me, and I heard it whisper, "Help me." I woke up to the sound of glass breaking in the kitchen, but when I checked, nothing was out of place. The glass was still shattering, but I couldn't find its source. The TV turned on by itself, and the screen showed static. I leaned in closer and saw my own face in the static staring back at me. I heard someone laughing softly in the living room, but when I entered, it was completely empty. The laughter stopped, and then someone whispered, "Don't worry, I'm still here." I woke up to the sound of the shower running, but when I checked, it was turned off. The water began to drip from the ceiling, forming a pool beneath me. I saw a shadow pass across my window, and when I went to check, there was no one outside. The shadow came back again, but this time, it was inside the house. I turned off the lights to go to bed, but I saw a figure standing at the foot of my bed. It whispered, "Don't close your eyes, or you'll never wake up again." I heard footsteps behind me as I walked down the hallway, but when I looked, no one was there. The footsteps kept pace with mine, as if following me. I heard my dog barking outside, but when I opened the door, it was silent. I looked down and saw my dog's collar lying in the snow.